Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Corey Podcast. It feels so good to be back for season 3. If you've been with me for a while, you've known this show under different names. Surviving It, Frankly Speaking. I think those are the only two. But now it's officially the Corey Podcast, or TCP, if you want to give me a nickname. Either way, I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad that you all are here and have found the show. This season, we're diving into conversations that matter, the ones that are shaping our communities, and the ones that are molding our futures and how we see ourselves. And speaking of change, let's talk about the rebrand for a second. It took me a while to feel comfortable putting my name on this podcast. I know it sounds silly, but listen, I didn't want it to seem like it was all about me. But after some deep thought, I realized that I am worthy of this. My voice, my perspective, this platform, it's all worth owning. And that realization got me to thinking about a bigger issue: why so many of us struggle with feeling worthy in the first place. Isn't that something? So, in today's episode, we're talking about worthiness, why so many of us feel like we don't deserve the life we want, the love we seek, or the success we work for. And more importantly, how can we break that mindset? Because we got to break it if we want to live the life we want. So stick around and hey, we're going to figure this stuff out together. So feeling unworthy doesn't just come out of nowhere. It's something we're taught directly or indirectly by our environment, our culture, our experiences. For me, it started in the evangelical church. I know, don't run, but listen, hear me out. If you've ever been a part of that world, you know what I mean. It was always about God's will, God's work, God's plan. And while that can be a source of comfort for some, for me, it created a disconnect. It taught me to deflect praise, to believe that anything good that came my way wasn't really mine to own. I didn't even realize it at the time, but I was learning how to downplay myself, to shrink, to wait instead of act. But the church isn't the only place that teaches unworthiness. There are many ways we absorb this message. One being society and its huge comparison culture. There's no secret that we live in a world that constantly tells us we're not enough. We know this. Not successful enough, not attractive enough, not talented enough. Social media makes it worse, showing us highlight reels that make us question our own value and makes everyone else's life look so pretty. I know I can get caught up in it myself, but then I have to remind myself, like, hey, that's all manufactured. That's all put together to make me feel the way I am feeling at this time about my own life. And it's just not real, guys. And another source, surprisingly for some people who don't know this, family and upbringing can be a source as well. Some of us grew up in homes where love was unconditional, based on performance, obedience, or meeting unrealistic expectations. Does that sound familiar? When love feels earned instead of given, we start to internalize the belief that we have to prove we deserve good things. And that's just not realistic. Another way that we can get into the mode of feeling unworthy is by holding on to our past failures and rejection. So maybe it was a relationship that fell apart for you, or a career setback, or a dream that didn't pan out. We've all been there before. And over time, those expectations can make us believe we're just not meant for success or happiness. And it can kind of quiet your dreams down over time to eventually you find yourself not even daring to dream. And that's a scary place to be. So we can't talk about the problem of unworthiness without also looking at cultural and generational trauma. And I believe that ties in to family and upbringing as well. So if you come from a marginalized community, you've likely been told indirectly ways that you have to work twice as hard to be seen, let alone be valued. And I know that's true in the African American community. It seems that way. It is that way, um, especially with regards to our white counterparts, that we have to get in and work twice as hard. And these days, it seems like maybe 10 times harder in order to just arrive at that line where the other people land. It seems to be so easily. So that weight over time can make worthiness feel like something you have to fight for instead of something that's just earned and that's yours. So, since we have a great idea of where all this comes from, let's now look at how to reverse the mindset of unworthiness. This is the part that we really need to focus on. So, listen, the good news is that feeling unworthy isn't permanent. It's a mindset that can be unlearned. Isn't that amazing? I'm glad about that. But I have to be honest with you guys, it takes work. So, I put together a list of ways that I feel have been beneficial for me, and I'm going to share those with you. Number one, I believe it is very important to recognize where it comes from. I've given you some ideas as to where it might come from, but you need to sit down and really evaluate, your life and where, you know, you think the root cause of your unworthiness is stemming from. You can't fix what you don't acknowledge. So ask yourself, where did I first learn to feel unworthy? Who or what made me believe I wasn't enough? See, because when you understand the source, it helps to separate those beliefs from who you truly are. And that's the goal. You want to separate yourself from those beliefs. The second thing I believe that is very important is to challenge negative self talk. Pay attention to the thoughts that creep in when you start doubting yourself. Instead of, I don't deserve this, try, I have worked for this and I am allowed to enjoy it. Instead of, I am not good enough, say, I am growing and that's enough. Words matter, it's important. Then, what I want you to do next is to give yourself credit. Start accepting compliments. It's hard for me to do it. So, in fact, if I do anything, sometimes creatively, let's just put it like that. If I do something creatively, it's hard for me sometimes to accept compliments. I've had this discussion like, it kind of makes me feel uncomfortable to take a compliment. And I know that may sound weird to you guys, but I don't know. It all goes back to the root cause, which was in the church where you weren't supposed to accept any compliments and God gets all the credit. That's my whole thing. So I'm working on that too, is to accept the compliments. And guys, it's important to acknowledge your wins, big or small. You just don't get lucky. You put in the work, so own it. Another thing that we have to stop doing is waiting for permission. You don't need validation from the world to go after what you want. I know a lot of times we'll sit and we'll just look at everyone else who seems to be living their best life or their dream, like, oh, when can I get started? When will this come to me? It's not coming. You have to go out there and do it, just like everyone else. What you're seeing from everyone else's viewpoint is their finished product. I guarantee you, anyone that you've watched on social media or that you idolize, they work hard. They may not show you how hard they've worked to get to where they are, but real success comes from working hard. There's no other way around it. So you have to work hard if you wish to succeed. You don't need a sign, you don't need any approval or someone else's okay. You are allowed to dream, to try and succeed, and to fail if that happens. That's life, okay? And if you guys have followed the podcast in the past, you know one of my favorite things to do is to set boundaries with people who undermine you. So some people want to reinforce feelings of unworthiness. I know it doesn't seem like that would be a real thing, but it's true. Sometimes it can be someone that's right in your own inner circle. It can be parents, it can be a wife, a brother, a cousin. I don't know why they do it other than they're just haters. But, people sometimes like to keep you down where they are. Um, because in some way they benefit from you staying small. So, my advice is to distance yourself from anyone who makes you doubt your value. And be sure to invest in yourself. This can be through therapy, through books, creative outlets, movement, whatever fuels you. I came across a really great book about a month ago. It's entitled The Body Keeps the Score, and it's by author and Dr. Bessel van der Kolk. It's a book that changed the way I see trauma and healing. And it caused me to learn how my body and mind store past pain, which is a game changer. So if you guys haven't read The Body Keeps the Score, I won't go into a full detail of the book, but you need to go out and get that book or download it wherever you read your books. It is a game changer. Our bodies are wired to keep us safe, but sometimes that safety can feel like anxiety. It can feel like stress. So we have to learn how and why our body is responding the way that it is. Um, it's a simple science, honestly, to tell you the truth. Another thing that we can do to get out of feeling unworthy is to practice self compassion. Guys, you are not your mistakes, no matter what, no matter how you feel. And I say that because I've been in a place myself where I feel like my past or my work was not enough. And I have to remind myself constantly that I am a work in progress, um, just like anyone else. So I want you to give yourself the same kindness that you would give to a friend. Okay. And I know a lot of people are so into vision boards. I bought a board, but I was not able to fill it out or to write on it. I don't know. I'm just not a vision board. I like to journal, but I mentioned the vision board because on some level, you have to start visualizing your worthy life. What does it look like to live in a space where everything you dreamed of is happening for you? What does that look like? Close your eyes sometimes and just picture the life that you want. Not just the job, the house, or the relationships, but the feeling of being at peace and being proud of yourself, feeling whole. Now, ask yourself, what's stopping me from stepping into that life? The truth is, guys, the only thing in your way is the belief that you don't deserve it. And that belief is a lie. So here's the thing. You are already worthy. Right now, as you are, not after you lose weight, not after you make more money, not after you prove yourself to anyone. You are enough today. And this season on the Corey podcast, we're going to keep having these conversations about growth, conversations about healing, about control of our own stories. Because if we don't shape the narrative, someone else will. And I don't know about you, I don't trust other people to tell my story. I'm going to tell mine myself. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. So follow the Corey Podcast on your favorite platforms: Apple, Spotify, Instagram, TikTok, for a while, I guess. We don't know. But share this episode with someone who needs it, and let's keep the dialogue going. Remember, you're not alone in this. So I want to thank you all for stopping by, and thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up for yourself. And remember, you are worthy of the life you want.